One of the biggest differences between President Trump and President Biden in the area of immigration law is how to address the growing crisis of refugees seeking the protection of the United States. U.S. law addresses refugees in two ways. First, people who are being persecuted can apply while they are overseas to be resettled in the United States, among other countries, through the refugee process. Second, a person in the United States who fears returning to his or her home country can request to be treated as a refugee in the United States and thus be granted asylum, or the legal permission to stay in the United States and eventually become a U.S. citizen. President Trump viewed the refugee and asylum process as mere loopholes, allowing otherwise illegal immigrants to come to the United States and take advantage of our benevolence. His reaction was to shut down refugee and asylum processes as much as possible, regardless of the humanitarian crisis that existed, and despite clear U.S. international obligations with regard to the acceptance of refugees. President Biden, on the other hand, wanted to have a more humane approach, welcoming those refugees who were fleeing danger in their home country and ensuring a more ordered legal process to adjudicate more claims for asylum. In February, President Biden issued an executive order outlining his administration's approach to the growing refugee crisis, particularly as it applies to refugees from Central America. And we will talk about that executive order and its ramifications in just a moment. My name is William Kovatch, and I am a trained immigration lawyer. I've often been disappointed in the way immigration issues are talked about in the media, although it's not always their fault. Immigration law can be a very complex subject, touching upon constitutional issues as well as personal political points of view. My goal is to explain immigration law to you, concentrating on looking at judicial opinions and executive actions in order to explain how immigration law can have an impact on our community and on our country. I hope that you'll join me as we try to make sense of immigration law and how it may affect the average person. On February 2, 2021, President Biden signed an executive order meant to address the growing crisis with regard to migration, particularly from Central America to the United States. Through his executive order, Biden provides a clear roadmap on how he wants his administration to address the roadblocks that the Trump administration placed in the path of those simply seeking a safe place to live. To fully understand President Biden's actions, we need to delve into the way in which the Trump administration treated refugees and asylum seekers. Trump viewed the refugee process as a burden, saddling the United States with the settlement of numerous people he considered to be undesirable. As for asylum, Trump viewed the process as nothing more than a legal loophole. It permitted people to enter the United States without a visa and apply to stay legally with a path to citizenship. Now, despite the fact that the Constitution guarantees a fair hearing for those who have a legal claim for U.S. benefits, a requirement known as due process, Trump viewed asylum seekers as merely people clogging up the immigration court system. Playing on the xenophobia of his supporters, he portrayed all migrants from Central America as criminals, murderers, and rapists, just wanting to be admitted to this country. Trump made numerous attempts, some more successful than others, to demonize asylum seekers in the eyes of the U.S. public and to shut down the process of applying for immigration. Most disturbingly, Trump and his attorneys general showed a clear disregard for the requirements of U.S. law and indeed international treaties when it came to the treatment of asylum seekers. He wanted to limit the number of migrants who would be processed for their asylum claims. He wanted to deny asylum to those who did not present themselves to a port of entry for processing. He wanted to force asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their asylum claims were being adjudicated. all of which were in clear contravention to U.S. immigration law. I have made prior videos explaining how Trump's treatment of asylum seekers is illegal, and I'll have a link to those videos in the description box below. For example, Trump's Remain in Mexico program, deceptively named Migrant Protection Protocol when it has absolutely nothing to do with protecting migrants, actually created a more dangerous situation for asylum seekers, forcing them to wait in northern Mexico for their hearing on their asylum applications. This left Central American migrants to the mercy of the Mexican cartels, who stepped up their efforts to kidnap migrants and to hold them for ransom. President Biden wants to wipe all of that away, but is constrained by the political realities and by U.S. resources. Ending the Remain in Mexico program is a lofty goal, but the reality is Biden cannot simply open the border and allow thousands of people who have been waiting there into the United States all at once. This would create chaos and potentially risk the public safety. This is why President Biden is addressing this through his executive order. First, Biden seeks to address the root causes of mass migration from Central America. The more that the United States can cooperate with the governments of Central America, and in particular in the Northern Triangle region of El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, the more the United States and its partner nations may be able to control the flow of refugees coming to the southern border. Indeed, the causes of migrations are varied, but they're well known. They involve government corruption, the government impotence when combating street gangs, the inability of the Central American governments to control vast swaths of territory currently dominated by the dangerous street gangs, and uncontrolled domestic violence, and violence aimed at women caused by the dangerous machismo culture. In the first part of this executive order, President Biden indicates his desire to work with the Northern Triangle governments to formulate strategies to attack the root cause of migration. Next, President Biden wants to restore the orderly process of asylum claims at the border. This includes the process of evaluating the claims of asylum seekers, vetting whether they pose a threat to the U.S. public safety, and, in appropriate cases, releasing asylum seekers on bond so that they can await their court hearings in a humane manner. Among the policies that President Biden wishes to combat is the use of the pandemic as an excuse to shut down the border for any new asylum claims. He has instructed his immigration enforcement agencies to examine Trump actions implementing such a scheme, with an eye to terminating and rescinding those actions. President Biden also wants to eliminate the Remain in Mexico program, although he recognizes the practical realities that prevent opening the border right away to all asylum seekers currently waiting in Mexico. He calls for an orderly, phased strategy to eliminate the restriction, with public health and safety concerns kept in mind. President Biden also wants to remove the Trump administration's efforts to deny asylum to those who did not present themselves to immigration authorities before crossing into the United States. This is more consistent with U.S. statutory law, which clearly states that anyone present in the United States may apply for asylum regardless of how they came to be in the United States. This is in recognition of the fact that in some circumstances, the danger from the home country is so great that refugees are justified in taking whatever steps are necessary to protect themselves and their families. And that includes crossing the border without a visa. The Trump administration also tried to conclude agreements with the Northern Triangle countries to have them designated as safe third countries. Now, U.S. asylum law permits the United States government to deny an asylum claim when there is a safe third country willing to take a particular refugee. The Trump administration attempted to create the absurd proposition that people fleeing from a dangerous situation in Central America had to first apply to those very countries that were having the issues and that were causing those dangerous situations for which asylum protection was sought. This is despite the fact that none of the Northern Triangle countries have the capacity to address the deluge of asylum claims that this would have created. President Biden instructs his Attorney General to review whether to rescind this ridiculous topsy-turvy web of agreements. Among other actions that President Biden wishes to take is the review of the use of expedited removal proceedings, which is a process that sidesteps the due process requirements in order to remove aliens who were apprehended within 100 miles of the border. He also wishes to review whether the United States is following its own policy with regard to migrants who are seeking asylum based on domestic and gang-related violence. Now, this is all very good news for asylum seekers and refugees. President Biden has signaled a return to the more rational and humane approach to migration and a rollback of the regressive and indeed illegal policies of the Trump administration to dissuade legitimate asylum seekers from even attempting to seek the protection of the United States. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. If there are any topics you would like me to address in the future, please let me know in the comments below. Now, I don't like talking about this, but I am currently disabled because of complications following cancer surgery. If you're feeling generous, I'll have a link to my PayPal account in the description below. Thank you.